So, where do you guys? Okay, I'll start with you, Corey. Where do you see yourself in the your company in the next year or so?
That's a good question because right now I'm in a state of transition where I don't know if I want to stay or have the ability to stay in a digital platform because certain conversations about self, intimacy, living your innate truths are best done in person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, COVID, I had to shift and start doing it over a digital platform. And so I've gotten okay with that. But I think I do my best work when I'm actually face to face with students and with persons in general. There's this biofeedback that happens when you're in the room. Musicians and persons who grace the stage talk about missing just being in the room with people.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what happens this fall. I don't know how open our communities will be. If I don't base it on what society says is appropriate, then I'll be looking for more contracts to work with students and individuals who understand that they are not living their best life because the voice in their head is not their own. My goal is to develop platforms where I'm more accessible to persons who are wanting those safe spaces
Mm-hmm.
or to coach people on how to have those conversations with the persons in their lives. In the next year, that's what I want to be doing.
Okay. And Jason, give me a little bit about where you see your company in the next 1 to 2 years.
Again, I agree with Corey with that. I don't necessarily have um, a specific destination for the companies. Um, I'm always transitioning from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, not forgetting the things that I'm doing, but I'm always expanding. So look at real estate. We started a real estate company. I'm learning Forex right now, so I'm doing a lot of trading right now. In addition to everything else, because I always want to know, there's another way to make financial streams of income, and so that's what I'm always looking at. So ideally, because Forex is so profitable, I would like to just trade Forex and do cookies. And then just
Okay,
do
Cookie Boy.
and then
Cookie
just do
Man. I'm
right.
sorry.
Just
Cookie Man.
appreciate that, and then do the speech therapy as the lanyard or the extra.
Okay.
Uh, Maybe like do consult work, but I don't know that I'd ever get away from speech therapy because that's my love. Yeah.
Okay.
In addition to building the properties that we have and expanding that. So, yeah.
So, in a nutshell, you both are moving forward with your businesses. Uh, the future is unknown. Whatever leads your path is where you guys will kind of go, right?
So let me say this too, because I didn't say this before, but I'm a licensed social worker. So the other part or the other goal that I have is to learn about racial trauma therapy,
Mm-hmm.
get that license or that certification, and start offering those services, especially to the communities that I'm involved in. I think it's really important, especially for young people who have a sense of voicelessness in primarily white institutions that do not care for them because they either they don't know how, or they just simply don't value their presence being in those schools, whether that's elementary, middle school, high school, college, graduate school, it doesn't really matter. But
Workforce.
also in professional systems in which you have brilliant melanated individuals who are suffocating because they just do not have spaces in which they're validated. One of the things that I've done over this last year is have listening sessions to understand what as people of color, male, female, and not just Black people or brown people, but across the melanated spectrum, what is it that we're dealing with professionally, and how are the barriers that are forcefully erected being maintained to limit our progress? And in spite of all of that, we still exist, we still thrive, but we do so with a level of resistance that's still crushing. So that I want to work towards that end too.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that you guys were great. I feel like I learned a lot. Lord. I learned a lot. And honestly, I mean, what you guys are doing is motivational, because a lot of people don't have the patience, and a lot of people don't have what they think is the time to nurture and take care of and do the things that you are doing. So I want to tell you guys, you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up. I mean, just listening to someone, first of all, is you better than me. I don't know. I don't think I could do it. And as far as I'm concerned with Courtney, I mean, the level of patience you must have. And I mean that in a good way. Like I would want that type of patience, because
it's difficult. People, even the other therapists that I work with, like I work with teams of speech therapists, OTs, occupational therapists, and physical therapists, and they all say, "I don't know how you do your job."
But you're special. There's a special person for everything. Both of you all are very special people, and you're planted where you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that is amazing. And like I said, I just want to tell you guys, keep it up and keep doing an awesome job, because you wouldn't be here highlighting it and talking about it if you weren't amazing at it.
Or not one of the hosts. That's true.
So I have a question for everybody on here, because me and Samantha have talked about this a little bit, and we're probably going to have a show where we might bring you guys back. A lot of people will tell you all the reasons they can't start a job. I mean, not a job, but a company. Right. This is why I cannot do this company. I cannot. And most of the time, their reason is family. I have children. I have a child. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And I want to hear from everybody, and I'll give my 2 cents also, because I have children. But how, I don't even know how to say this, ask this question, but how do you, it's not get around it, because we're there, like they're there no matter what. But
how do you navigate?
Thank you. There you go. Yeah. How do you navigate?
So here's the thing. If you think that you can't, you won't.
Absolutely.
That's God's honest truth.
I was
talking to a colleague yesterday. She was talking about she didn't know. And the reality is if you tell the universe that you can't do it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
The universe will agree with you. But if you say that your reason for doing it is much greater than your reason for not doing it, it'll get done. It may not be in the capacity that you want it to be. We have this vision in our heads of what we could be. If we stayed there, if we just said, I'm going to block out all the other distractions and I'm going to focus on that. And here's the thing, family is not a distraction if you don't want it to be. Because if you prioritize your time and say, here are all the things on my list of things that I do daily that do not add value to me, my family, or the vision that I have for my company, it frees up all this other time. So the excuse of time,
it's just
it doesn't exist.
Right.
The reason why I started the company that I have is because I know the level of support that I give my daughters. And I know in my community, a lot of other persons who look like me aren't present. And if they are, do not present the same way that I do. The reason that's important is because we have a generation of children, and we've always had generations of children.
Uh-oh.
He cut out.
Encourages and promotes their best self,
Everybody
or they do not have the ability to tap into the theory and the practice that promotes their best self. So if you believe you can't, you won't. I'm not going to fight somebody who says they can't. Okay, you're right.
And you
I
won't.
can do this. Whatever side of the spectrum you fall on, you're right. The world will agree with you. So you got to ask yourself, who am I listening to and why? And is that hindering what I could be potentially leaving for my children? We, Mark, Courtney, and myself, we talk about legacy all the time. I want a legacy for my children, and not just the children that I've birthed, but the children who watch me go to work every day, the children who I coach basketball with, the children that I mentor on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The legacy isn't in material, it's in the relationships that I've built that allows them to create the world that I want to live in. Right. That's what I talk about. Next.
All right, so I guess I'll be next. A family, I mean, like Corey was saying, family is not, they're my motivation, they're not the distraction. And if you, it's a mind shift. It's as easy as code switching. So we talk one way when we're not on camera. We talk one way when we're on camera. Both of them are appropriate, but they're not appropriate in certain situations. So like Corey was saying, if you get off the Xbox, if you stop watching your stories, if you stop, social media, if you stop all these other things, it frees up a lot of time. Everything that you do in life takes time. It's what you choose to spend your time on. It's the only commodity that you cannot get back.
Right.
It's the only one. And I know it sounds cliche that, you have 24 hours in a day, you work 40 hours a week. There's another number that says that there's more hours left after that 40 hours. There's a bunch left after that 40 hours. You can start a business. And the thing is, I tell my students this all the time. My high school students, my middle school students, my adults that I work with. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? If you tell me I don't know, then I can't help you because I don't know how to get to I don't know. But you want to be a doctor? I know doctors. You want to be an athlete? I know athletes. You want to be a dentist or a teacher? I know all those things, and I can put you in contact with those entities and those people. Because that's a plan. We can work a plan. I don't know how to get you to I don't know. And so the people that say, well, I don't know. Well, I don't either. Because I don't know how to get you to I don't know. But you want to start a business? I can put you in contact with people who started businesses. You want funding? I can put you in contact with people who have funding. You want to start a franchise of something that's already been done? Fine. There's a way to do that. But you have to put a plan in place. Family shouldn't be a distraction. Put the plan there and then work the plan. You can always modify a plan. You cannot modify I don't know. There's no modification for it because it is what it is. But if you said, you know what? Hey, Mark, hey, Corey, I took some classes on real estate. I think we can buy a couple houses. Okay, how do we do it? Okay, this is what we're going to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and we'll buy this house and then we'll gain access to this real estate. Mark and Corey say, hey, I'm going to lift you up. And that's the other part is find those family members that will help push you forward. Mark and Corey have always been, go for it. We got you. Put those people around you. My brothers, Philip and Levi and Edwin. Hey, Jay, go ahead and do it. You got this. Put those people in place. Family should be motivational. They shouldn't be a hindrance. And
so
those
what do
people
you advise people who don't have family though? So what do you advise for people who don't have that support system?
Well, family doesn't necessarily have to be the people in your house. The three other people that I mentioned are the brothers that I made here while I was in Houston. I call them brother all the time because I can call them at a moment's notice and say, hey, I need to bend your ear for this. And they do the same for me. Hey, Levi just finished his second book. He said, hey, I want you to be a reader on my next novel. Cool. Read it. We chopped it up. He just put it out 2 months ago. I mean, you got to have those people there It's your private network. It's the network that
Mhm.
says, you're gonna have a bad day. I'm gonna be here to talk you through that bad day. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
the one that says, okay, that happened. Keep moving. What's
Right.
next? What's the next FYPM thing that we can support? What's the next voice project that we can support? How do I support, the next Milky Melanin event? What are we doing here?
Right.
Because those are the people that get you out of your own way. Where you're starting to doubt yourself, and all those other voices that Corey continues to talk about are the ones that are becoming louder and louder. And they come in and say, man, turn that stuff down. If you want to listen to something, listen to me. I'm telling you, go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that was one setback. We're looking for what happens when you come back. That's not something that is, and it's not an option for you.
Mhm.
You don't get to fail, not when we are here to hold you up. You got to have people in your corner like that, and they don't necessarily have to be blood relatives.
Understood.
So what do you think, Samantha?
I think that daily navigation, it has a lot to do with planning. I'm a planner. So if you take the time to plan out what you're doing so you can execute it, whether it be day by day, week by week. And I love to plan stuff, but I'm the most unorganized planner and I can't explain it. Like things just
That makes sense
fall,
to me.
they
That
fall
really
into
makes sense.
place. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'll
I
sleep
do.
and
Absolutely.
it just falls and it just happens. And sometimes it's so organic, y'all, that I can make a post and I kid you guys not, they will make sense from start to finish. And in my mind, I'm not even putting it together. I'm just saying, oh, that looks nice and oh, that look. And once it's all done, it's so cohesive. It's like, I did that. I don't know how I did that. So I think that honestly planning it and taking the time to execute it, like every day is not going to be perfect. Every day is not going to get easier. Some days you'll have an easy day, but a lot of days you won't. And you just have to push forward. Even with kids, I have 5 kids, and I am constantly on the move, constantly taking care of 3,000 different things, plus running a business, plus dropping off deliveries, plus making sure I have all my packages, plus, making sure inventory is good. That's a lot. So plan, plan, plan.
All right, Marcus, on you.
I like what everybody said, but I have
Yeah.
no idea why. I have no idea why I went back into this in my head. But I remember when Grandma decided to open a beauty shop. They sat at the table and they hashed it out and they talked about it. I remember when Mom and Dad said they want to buy the other side and open up the personal touch. So hopefully my children see me building this and they'll remember some of this growing up and kind of know that they can do it. That's part of it, because if you see it, then you know you can do it. And if your parents do it and people you're close to see it, they know that you can do it. And that's part of the reason that I'm doing it. The other part is the legacy. The other part is wanting to take control of my financial life, because last year showed me that I'm lucky I have really good saving practices. I'm lucky I have good credit. Like, I did not have a check come in for 4 months and I didn't skip a beat. I went home. I took my son there. I flew back to Iowa 2 or 3 times. I did a lot with not having any checks coming in, but I actually got to build my business at the same time. But wanting to take financial control and showing other people that they can have financial control, it does not mean I'm going to be a billionaire. But what it means is when I want to go out of town, I can. If somebody calls me and needs help, I can help them. And don't have to penny pinch and start looking. I just want my children to see that it's definitely possible. So that my children put that battery in my back. Not to mention, let's be clear, 2 people on this screen have been asking me to open my company for about 10 years. Kept saying, hey, you're smarter than them. Why aren't you doing this yourself? You're smarter than them. Why aren't you doing this yourself? Constantly. But that's what they were talking about. people who want to see you do better, people who are like, don't get stagnant, let's just keep moving.
Absolutely.
So that helps too. So I think everything comes together for people who want to do it. I think the best thing you said, Corey, is if you say you can't do it, you can't. So we don't even talk about it no more. Or what do you want to be? I don't know.
Yeah, why argue with people who aren't willing to fight for themselves?
Man.
You have
I
to
tell my
be
students
willing
that all the time. I tell them, you know, I shouldn't want more for you than you do.
Yes.
But I will until you learn how to do it. And that's for my students. But for adults, okay.